welcome to Mama Resh's. We are going to go through how to make the Snickerdoodle cookie mix today. Obviously, first of all, you need a mix. First thing that I would recommend that you do is we're going to create our cinnamon sugar mixture to roll the cookies in. Okay, so it's really easy in a separate bowl. Okay, so in a separate bowl, you're going to do a half a cup of sugar and 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. If you need a little bit more, you can kind of adjust it. Add a little bit more cinnamon, but it's just for rolling the cookies in. You'll also need 3/4 of a cup of shortening or palm shortening. I recommend palm shortening, that's what I always use. I use organic palm shortening. You'll need 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You may also need a little bit of water, just depending on if the mix is a little bit dry. Sometimes it can be dry and just need to add a little bit of water to get the consistency that we need. All right, we're gonna get started. So the first thing that I always like to do, well, I guess first off, I recommend a stand mixer if you've got one. If not, you need to do a hand mixer. It's just a little bit more challenging because it is kind of a thick dough. So a stand mixer is ideal. The first thing we're going to do is take our 3/4 cup of, I've got palm shortening here, and we're gonna put it in, and we're just gonna mix it a bit here to kind of soften it up, especially in the winter months. Kind of helps to warm it up. It's a lot easier for it to get incorporated in your mix. Okay, so it doesn't take very long. If you have super cold shortening, you may have to do a little bit longer than that, but scrape down the sides. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our 2 eggs and our vanilla. So I've already cracked them and making it easy. So 2 eggs, get my shortening there, and then a teaspoon of vanilla. I always use pure vanilla. I think it always just tastes better. And then we're going to incorporate that as much as we can. It won't become fully incorporated just because of the shortening, but you want to have it as mixed together and incorporate as much as possible. It just makes it a lot easier incorporating it in with the dry mix. Okay, so we're just going to scrape down the sides again. Just mix it for a short amount of time. And then we're going to add our dry. Okay. I'm going to add our dry mix. So you can do it multiple ways. You can add a little bit in at a time and mix it. I usually just pour it all in. Just start it on low, not on high, or you'll have flour flying everywhere. It's going to take a little bit of time to get this incorporated. Incorporate a little bit. And then I go ahead and scrape the sides because you're going to have that shortening and that egg mixture kind of on the sides and on the bottom. Help you get it incorporated throughout the mix. Then we're going to mix it here for about a minute and see if we're going to need to add any water. You may just need to add a tablespoon of water just to get the consistency that you want. And that's not on the back of the directions, so sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it just depends on the time of year. If it's a little bit drier outside, or the egg could be a little bit smaller. There's a lot of different variables in it. So I'm going to go ahead because I'm going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of water. I think that's all I'm going to need. It's still a little crumbly. Okay. So once we got everything really well incorporated, and you want to do it on high or medium high, just depending how big your bowl is, to make sure that you get everything really well incorporated. Okay, so now we've got everything mixed up. So I'm just going to pull out to show you. I mean, it's doughy, okay? So you got kind of a dough. It's almost like Play-Doh, okay? So that's probably the best way of like the texture and the consistency that you want. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to scoop them out, and we're going to roll them in our cinnamon sugar mixture that we've got here. I always use an 1.5 inch scooper. You can use whatever size you want. If you use a smaller scooper, you're going to do a little bit less time in the oven. So these bake anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. I do the 1.5 inch, so it's going to take the good 15 minutes in my oven. So you may just have to do a couple of test batches, not test batches, but test a couple of cookies to make sure that you've got the right temperature and the length of time before you do all of them at the same time. That would be my recommendation. So you're just going to scoop it out. You're going to plop it in here. I just roll it around. Just want to make sure it's well coated so you get that cinnamon on there. These are so awesome. This is actually my daughter's favorite cookie, so they don't last long in my house. So like that, got it rolled up, and then we're just going to place it on a cookie sheet. You can use, I always use parchment on my cookie sheet just because it is so much easier, and I can just throw it away and it doesn't, I don't get anything stuck on my cookie sheet. But if you've got a non-stick cookie sheet, whatever you're comfortable using, go ahead and do it. But I love parchment because it's just done. It's a lot easier to clean up. And I just throw away my parchment. Okay, so we're gonna scoop these. So you've already preheated your oven to 375, and I think I mentioned we're gonna bake these between 12 and 15 minutes. These in my oven will take the full 15 minutes, and most of them will. Most ovens will. Now, one thing I will note, I'm not going to go all through the process of baking them and pulling them out and showing them to you because we have the finished product right here. Sorry, got tongue-tied there. The finished product right here for the Snickerdoodles. But they may not flatten out all the way, so you may have a little bit of a dome. So you may need to use your spatula, just kind of press them down. They're cooked. It's just sometimes you end up with a little dome, sometimes you don't. It just depends. And that also, honestly, the time of year. So in the winter, you're probably gonna get a little dome. In the summer, when things are warmer and they bake faster and all that good stuff, you won't need to do that. So that's just a tip there. So we're done here with this. So I hope that helped a little bit to kind of get you started on making your Mama Rush's Snickerdoodle cookie mix. Thank you.